Doctor, get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting increasing cloud cover throughout the day. It will be breezy too. We'll see a high around 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies expected with a low around 31. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies for most of the day. A slight chance of rain late with a high around 49. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into Ticket Weeknights. I'm Harrison Arns, back here at the 1040 Ticket Studios. We got the host, as always, DeMornay Pierson-El on the Allo VIP line. Allo, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. Appreciate you guys joining in. If you ever want to join the show, Starter Heyman text line, that's 402-464-5685. And if you want to put a face to the voice, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 961. Plenty of things to talk about in the sports world. It's Super Bowl weekend, Nebraska basketball. Unfortunately, takes another road loss. And, of course, the NBA trade deadline. Maybe we'll talk some losers and winners. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and bring him in. DeMornay Pierson-El, how is it going on this Thursday night?
It's going nothing too bad. Enjoying it.
Absolutely. And then as far as all the events we got to talk about, we got the Super Bowl. We can start with Nebraska hoops, and then maybe we'll talk some NBA trade deadline as well. But I do want to quick go over that Nebraska game versus Northwestern. They take another loss there on the road. And I said this earlier on in the season where at some point I thought these guys really needed to find who is that guy, that alpha on the court. You're Kobe Bryant, you're Michael Jordan, obviously not to that level, but you get the idea. And earlier on, it wasn't a problem. They were able to win games at home consistently, the best record in the Big Ten at home, sitting at 14-1. But on the road, when they get into those offensive woes, I still feel like they haven't found that guy. You would think it would be Casey, but teams are just doing such a great job covering them all over the court, and they get in these long scoring droughts. And it feels like every time this team's on the road, you're going to see the stat of the opposing team on a 12-0 run in the past 2 minutes. What are your thoughts on Nebraska basketball, in particular on the road? What do you think's keeping these guys' ability just to not get it done on the road, but at the same time play incredible at home?
I'm not quite sure exactly, where to point the finger at or, exactly who. It's a team sport. Collectively as a team, they got to do better and put, a better foot forward during the away games and everything like that. They've done it time and time again. At home, they've done it against, better opponents and everything like that. And, it's just something that they're shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know exactly, what is that reason or, why don't they? Or I don't know if, their warm-up element isn't the same or, they're just not comfortable. It takes them longer to get, situated in that type of environment. But, I mean, it's a game. And, you got to get yourself, there mentally, physically, to go through it. And they're just not doing it on those away games. And it's sad.
Yeah, and that one really hurts because it would have been another quad one win as well. You look at what Northwestern's done. That's the only other Big Ten team that took down Purdue. So if you could find a way to take down Northwestern, you could stand proud as you were the only Big Ten team to be able to do so. But nonetheless, it was a game for Boo Buie, 6 for 13, 22 points, plus 9 in the box score, over 35 minutes of play. And then you look at Nebraska. It's just a bit all over the place. Again, kind of what I'm saying. I do think, I know it's a team sport, maybe not even be a guy. I'm not saying play selfish, but an enforcer. Get a technical, do something. I don't care if you're jumping over the back to get an offensive rebound that looks ugly. Someone needs to have a spark. It appears to be CJ Wilcher, especially at home, being that 6-man. But on the road, they got to figure out some way to get some energy and really just kind of put a stop to it. Did you notice Boo Buie and others kind of mocking Keisei Tamanaga after the last time Nebraska beat Northwestern? If you remember, Keisei Tamanaga puts the hands over the head, screams, goes crazy. Early on, Boo Buie, you saw that a lot. He was kind of mocking Keisei Tamanaga a little bit for the revenge game. And just stuff like that surprises me. There isn't a stronger response. Even a little bit of talking back and forth. I'm okay with seeing that. You got to be aggressive. What is it on the road? You can even equate this to football. What is that personality, that mindset you have to make those road games feel like your home games?
It starts within yourself. If you're playing well and you're doing what you're supposed to, that you can quiet a crowd easily. I know basketball is a game of runs and everything like that. Obviously, Northwestern had this game marked, as you said, with the dude taunting and everything like that. They took it personal.
Yeah.
And they wanted to send a message, and, it was stated and done early. So, I mean, you gotta be in the right mindset. You gotta understand, what needs to be done. Everybody has to be, like-minded and move in one direction and everything like that. Basketball isn't as physical as football and everything like that. But it's okay to, let, a little aggression out or, to let the other team, you're not one to be played with and every day or to be a person to be played with. And as you said, nobody has kind of stepped up and shown that consistently at home and at away. I don't know if it's an identity crisis. I don't know if, they're just looking like, well, it's not going to be me to save them this time. Because I feel like, the home games, I feel like, each person, takes the turn to, okay, well, it's going to be me to do it. Or a combination of, 2 to 3 people and whatnot. They just need to figure out exactly like, okay, this is my, role continuously, whether home or away, and stick to it and then, raise the level of play.
Yep. And like you said, it is a little bit of waiting around. The slow starts are killing them on the road. You start slow, you start slow, you start slow. I applaud Nebraska. One thing about this basketball team, they never give up. You give them credit for that because this team, if it had the same attitude of years past, they'd have a lot more losses in that column. But they do battle all the way to the end. And even against Northwestern, when they had no place of that game even being a conversation with 2 minutes left to go, they turned 2 minutes into 30 minutes. They did a great job doing everything they could to extend the game. But you got to start fast. It's just over and over again. You start slow. You're playing a Northwestern team. They shoot the ball well. Don't be surprised. They're not going to slow down. You're going to have to pick it up offensively or really do some things different on the defensive end of the court. But just some things to watch. I still like this team. I still like their chances for going dancing. They got plenty of games left. You did take care of Wisconsin, and you played Illinois. I know you lost, but you played them into overtime. So you still got some good games in your favor, but you do want to take care of business here because, again, that's kind of what worries me the most is we still haven't figured out how to win on the road. And I think earlier in the season, I was looking at the rest of the schedule as in we would have this figured out by now, and you could kind of get past Illinois, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue, and get to this easier part of the schedule and just take care of business. But now taking care of business isn't good enough because you're going to have to do something you haven't done before, which is win on the road. So hopefully they can get that done. I do have faith in them. But DeMornay, in football, when you were playing on the road, what was the hardest thing for you to get it used to or adjusted to? Was it the fans? Was it the routine, travel? What is it about those road games that's going to throw a player off its rhythm?
It's just kind of figuring out your rhythm and like what your, routine is. The traveling, the meetings, getting hydrated, stretching out, figuring out, what it takes to get you mentally there. So by the time you step on the floor, things are covered and situated. And, everybody's different. Everybody has their own thing and whatnot. But a lot other than that is like, mentally, like having it on your mind, you have a job to do, some of these kids, got goals to higher aspirations with playing in, in the NBA and everything like that. Like, play like every game, is your last game because you can't afford, bad film or anything like that. And, that was one thing, that, my wide receiver coach at the time at Nebraska, instilled in us from day one of him stepping into the position, just having, your mind right, making sure that, mentally, like you're using your energy that's going to help you later on in the game. You're not doing anything extra. You're not, letting distractions get to you and everything like that. How bad do you want to succeed at something? How bad, does it mean to you? And, that kind of, once I kind of figured out, what exactly, how I was mentally and cutting distractions out and doing certain things, going to sleep earlier, eating certain things, making sure, that, okay, I want to eat, but I don't want to eat a full meal. I don't want to eat a steak or anything like that before meals, lighter pastas here and there. Instead of, 6-7 hours of sleep, 8 to 10 hours of sleep and everything like that. So, just figuring out, what worked for me to get me in a space to where, I, on all levels, physical, emotionally, mentally, that I'm all focused in the game and ready to, dominate at the level that I know I could.
Yep, and luckily they still have some time to figure it out, but not a lot of time. They only got 3 road games left, 7 games total. They got Michigan at home, Penn State at home, on the road versus Indiana. You're going to imagine Indiana might look a lot like Northwestern, a little bit of a revenge game for them. Then we get Minnesota at home, revenge game for us. Ohio State, same thing. They're probably going to want to give us a loss at their home court. Then we get Rutgers at home. And then you have Michigan on the road. Michigan seemed like it, again, should be quote-unquote chalk win, but you just saw Michigan beat Wisconsin at home. So these aren't given. If you want to avoid the NIT, Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, take your pick. You have to get one of those if you don't want to be on those fringe teams. Or worst case scenario, if you have a really rough home stretch as well in the bad Big Ten play tournament, you might just take yourself out of the whole thing. But I'm not expecting that. I do think worst case scenario, the way the team's playing is they end up as a fringe team. But those 3 road games, Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, you have to win one of those. One of those that'll help you tremendously. That's really the only thing separating teams like Nebraska from Northwestern. You look at Northwestern, their wins might not be as impressive. We're split in the series. We each got 1, yet Northwestern looks pretty solid, locked in place because they have those road wins on the resume. So that's important for Nebraska. And I do want to go ahead and switch it over to the NBA because speaking of Nebraska, former Nebraska basketball player, as the NBA trade deadline was today, did get moved. Delano Banton of the Boston Celtics traded to the Portland Trail Blazers for a heavily protected second-round pick. And it's anywhere, and it's heavily protected up to the 55th pick. So that right there, Delano Banton, he does move away from the Celtics, which if you're looking for a ring, that's unfortunate. But I do think it's good for him. I think with Portland, you'll be there with Anthony Simons. You'll be there with Scoot Henderson. And then, of course, Delano Banton. You get those three young guys in there. I do like what the Portland Trailblazers are doing. If I had to pick a spot where he could really grow and develop, that's a great spot for Delano Banton to land. He's a long, tall forward. He can do a lot. Play a little bit of guard as well. So good landing for him. And I did want to bring that up as we're talking about Nebraska hoops. So Delano Banton, if you want to support him, you got to be turning on Portland Trailblazers games as he'll be playing alongside Scoot Henderson. But on notes of the NBA, I want to go through some winners and losers here. The first loser to me, good morning, Pierson-El, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is the Los Angeles Lakers. They punted on the trade deadline, didn't really make any acquisitions. Looked like they kind of got stuck on what do they do with Austin Reeves. But if you just look at the standings here, the Lakers not really in a position that scares anyone. They're sitting 9 right now, just 1 away, 2 away from being out of the play-in. 27-25 record, just 2 above 500, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. They're just kind of creeping right above 500, right at 500. I thought they needed to make a move. I got the Lakers as a loser. I don't know if you agree or if you can sway me the other way on that. Maybe waiting till summer was the right move.
I don't think so. I thought they should have made a move too. I'm not sure or understand, why they're kind of sitting, more so relaxed. When you got a team like that, of inconsistencies, and LeBron's not getting any younger. AD is healthy and not healthy, and then not healthy. You needed something. If you wanted to make a push, the West is stacked.
Yeah.
And I don't think sitting back and just kind of like waiting and seeing is by any chance a winning mentality of chasing the championship, regardless if you have LeBron or not. He still needs help.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you completely on that. I don't understand why they're sitting and waiting.
Yeah, I felt like they punted on it. I get it. Wait till summer. Maybe it was kind of a role players trade deadline. Probably the biggest star you can argue, Buddy Hield. You can throw some honorable mentions in there, but Buddy Hield was probably the biggest one that moved the needle for me. But you look at the Lakers again. Why I think you make a move. You're sitting at the 9 seed, but in particular this year, if you're just looking at the Big Ten. I'm mixing up my college hoops here. If you just look at the Western Conference in the NBA, you see the Thunder and the Timberwolves locked in at the 1 and 2. If you're getting in as an 8 or 7, worst case scenario, you're playing the Thunder or the Timberwolves. If you're the 5th seed Phoenix Suns, you got to play a red hot Los Angeles Clippers team. If you're the 6th seeded Pelicans, you're playing the Nuggets. Honestly, you would much rather be kind of in that low seeded range because it gives you an opportunity to beat up on a inexperienced Thunder team. I know they're good, but I'm a big believer in playoff experience. So I thought they could make a move. Like you said, AD's not getting any healthier. I mean, he's healthy right now, but that's not a given. He has such a bad history with injuries that I thought it would have been a good time that if you're going to make a splash trade, get out of the big two and what you had in LeBron and AD, which sounds like they want to do. This would have been the time to do it. Kind of offload a lot of that because who knows what AD looks like at the end of the season. And as you said, LeBron's only getting older. So they're going to have to try to figure that out again in the summer. And as far as free agents go, it's not going to be like a massive group of players that they can go plug and pull and try to fix this roster. It's going to be a little bit of slim picking. So again, I'm not agreeing with punting on the season. I understand it's role players, but I think you add the stars to the trade deadline, and then you can start reaping a lot of the benefits. Instead, they just kind of allowed it to be a role players trade deadline. And can you imagine if you threw AD or LeBron in there, that would have shaken up the entire trade deadline because there was no stars. You would have been the only team offering serious, legitimate stars that can go win that team rings, and you would have been the only team offering those. So again, I thought it was missed by those guys. It'll be interesting to see, but it does feel like they're punting on the rest of the season. With that being said, though, we will go ahead and throw it to break. We'll talk a little more NBA trade deadline and, of course, the Super Bowl as it's down there in Las Vegas this Sunday, 5:30 our time here. But nonetheless, we'll throw it to break. You guys can always join in, 402-464-5685. We'll talk to you on the other side.
No matter what indoor or outdoor project is on your list, check it off at the Nebraska Builders Home and Garden Show, February 9th through the 11th at Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Visit with vendors experienced in handling all your dream projects. Spend time viewing displays and exhibits to see the latest in home innovations. Admission is $10 or bring a non-perishable item for the food bank and get a $2 discount. Children 12 and under are free. For more information, visit the Home and Garden Show online at hbal.org.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through February 13th is spend $40 and get stew beef for free. Plus, 15% off all alcohol and chocolates as you prepare for Valentine's Day. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, "Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket," and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
this is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. The best way to strengthen our economy for the long term is investing in our education system and raising the skills of American workers. To succeed in the global economy, we need to modernize our schools, hire excellent teachers, and focus on the future. Support great public schools, and we can make the good life even better.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
February is National Pet Dental Health Month. At Parkview Animal Hospital, their skilled doctors and staff can help identify and treat a wide range of dental issues. If your pet is showing signs of bad breath, abnormal chewing or drooling, reduced appetite, or refusal to eat, now is a great time to speak to a member of their team and help get your pet back on track to a healthy lifestyle. Call Parkview Animal Hospital today at 402-423-6939 to learn more about their discounts on dental cleanings, procedures, and hygiene products.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. I am Harrison Arns on the ones and twos back here at the 1040 Ticket Studios. And again, if you guys ever want to join the show, Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Always feel free to join in that way. Put a face to the voice on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo channel 961. So definitely feel free to do so. And of course, we got DeMornay Pierson-El now streaming in as well on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. I do want to go through some more winners and losers here, and then we'll go ahead and get to the NFL Super Bowl there in Las Vegas this Sunday. I do got to talk about one more loser, Killian Hayes. If that name's familiar, it should be. He's only 4 seasons in the NBA, was the 7th overall pick, and gets released by the worst team in the NBA. If you're playing on the Pistons, it obviously makes sense. You have plenty of time, opportunity to go ahead and showcase why you were the number 7th overall pick. And it goes out in a complete fuzz. So hopefully for Killian Hayes, he will get picked up. It's not like his career is over. He's shown flashes that he will end up on another team, but you can make sense of his contract being cut, not even traded. He's going to definitely struggle to get some. And look, he's going to struggle to find some good pay. Real quick, DeMornay Pierson-El, I was going through some losers. Killian Hayes, 4 years in the NBA, 7th overall pick. He gets cut by the worst team in the NBA in the Detroit Pistons. That to me is pretty high up there. If we're going to rank these losers, he will be picked up somewhere else, but that's rough to go from the number 7th overall pick to have all that money to getting cut. And now you don't know what your next contract's even going to look like. One last loser here. Go ahead, go for it while I get this one.
He got first round money, so I don't think he'll be all right. Like he'll.
Yep.
The worst thing that can happen is he might not get signed by somebody this year or get picked up during playoffs. Like it's not as bad as you think. Like he'll be fine.
Yeah, well, not this trade deadline, so he's done. But I guess he can be picked up since he was cut. But he will. It's just one of those things where your career arc takes a dramatic turn. So to me, it's a loser because you just were never expecting that, especially on that Pistons team. It's crazy to think how long ago, how excited it's like, man, Cunningham, Hayes, you're getting Marvin Bagley over there. It looked like you're going to build this elite young roster. And we've seen it. We talked about it earlier. You were on the verge of having the worst losing streak in NBA history. So tough for the Pistons, but they're going to reshape that whole thing. Final one here, and I want to talk about the winner. And this whole thing, I thought the New York Knicks came away with it. You pick up Angie Anunoby, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Alex Burks, already a good roster. They're already sitting about number 4 in the Eastern Conference, and that's going to help you out. Now you got some help with Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, who's hurt. That's going to give you some time there. Overall, I thought what the Knicks grabbed, they could be a scary team in the playoffs. I'm not picking them to win the NBA Finals, but what do you think about the additions of OG Anunoby, Bogdanovic, and Alex Burks?
I think it's good for them. You taking the load off of the other players. You're getting that point guard. Some help Because he's doing a fantastic job down there. You're giving Randall some time to rest and recuperate. You kind of like putting the ice on him and come back when your body's feeling it for a late playoff run. And you said right now they're sitting at 4. They can climb up to 2 maybe. Or so they're sitting in the right spot. They made the right moves. To help them in the long run.
Yeah, the Knicks this year have been a surprise, but I think they'll be pretty solid. I'll go ahead and throw Gordon Hayward out just because. Shout out to him. Sorry to Grant Williams. Grant Williams goes from the Celtics to the Hornets. Gordon Hayward goes from the Hornets, and he actually lands on the OKC Thunder. So Grant Williams was kind of in that era where he's made his money. He doesn't really need fat contracts anymore. He was on that roster because he wanted to win a championship ring, and he gets dished to arguably the second worst franchise in the NBA in the Charlotte Hornets. And then Gordon Hayward, he finally gets the hell out of there because he's too good of a player to kind of be wasting his prime on that roster. So he's got a shot. He make it to the playoffs with the OKC Thunder. That's a young roster. That's going to be exciting to watch with Gordon Hayward on the Thunder. The more we get into the season, do we need to look at the OKC Thunder as a legitimate NBA Finals team?
No.
Okay, so you're still not biting, despite the record. You're not biting yet.
You gotta that roster's not beating Denver in a game of 7. Like
I agree with you. I just want to see what I can get.
No. Like now a Western Conference final maybe. Like I like if they get there, I'm a little shocked, but I can see it. But a finals, no.
Yeah, to me, I can see them maybe scraping out of the first round, but we talked about it. If they somehow lock in the 1 seed and they got to play the Dallas Mavericks at the 8th seed, I'm probably picking the 8th seed Mavericks to go ahead and take care of the OKC Thunder. It's just going to be that year. It does help them. It moves the needle quite a bit. I think this team, it's so young. You saw it in some of their trades. They're just trading away picks like candy and just trading back in later years because they don't really need draft picks right now. So OKC Thunder, pretty safe trade. But nonetheless, they definitely add some help with Gordon Hayward. And I think it might be 2 years away, but that's a team that people are going to have to start looking at. I do want to switch over, though, as far as the NBA. I mean, that's pretty much, it was a role players NBA deadline. There wasn't really big splashes. I guess I do want to ask, did you think there was a chance LeBron or AD were going to be traded?
Not so much AD, LeBron. I could have, if it would have happened, I'd have been like, I'm not surprised. Because I feel like at this point he's like chasing to further his legacy. A last hurrah to get it, but then again, with his son being right there at USC and being able to play with what happened with him with he's in a comfortable spot. So like if it would have happened, I'd have been like, I can see it, but I mean, I wouldn't have been too shocked.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought for sure they were going to move AD. I was like, AD's healthy. Let's trade him now. Because again, you can't really guarantee on that guy's health. But nonetheless, they still got 2 elite players. We'll see what they do here. It could be one of those things where they battle through it. And it might look like last year where despite the Lakers' record, they climbed through the West and they meet the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. They fell short, but still did a hell of a lot better than all the teams ranked higher or seated higher than them. Let's go ahead and switch it over to the NFL as we do get ready for Super Bowl Sunday here.
Super Bowl.
I want to ask, have you been to a Super Bowl? Good morning, Pierson-El?
Yes.
Okay, what was your experience for that? I'm just curious. What was that first Super Bowl experience? Because I've got to hear Jay Foreman, Jake Sorensen talk about it. It's this one in Vegas too. Just adds to it.
I'm pissed I'm not there. I could have went, but I decided not to. I went to the one last year in Arizona. I went to the one in Miami.
Okay, so you try to make it to all of them. So it's not all of them, but frequently.
For sure. I was close to going to the one in Tampa too. Changed my mind at the last second. For players and former players, it's a playground. That's what it is. Any and everything is on the table pretty much. You got to be careful because just like as a playground, there are people out there, are the bullies, there are the people that can take advantage of you.
Mhm.
But just the game and everything like that, honestly, is overhyped. It's overplayed. The halftime show is pretty fun. I'm more so worried about the activities not at the game. Going there and being somewhere else and watching the game in that city is a lot more fun, than actually like being at the game. Maybe I think it would be different if you played in the game. I think that's completely different. I think that would be, awesome and whatnot. But I mean, as a spectator and whatnot, you can only do so much at the game versus, somewhere else. And with half the NFL out, so I mean it's wild, it's crazy, but I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it's definitely a bucket list item, but I think I'm in the same camp. I'd love to go to one just to experience one Super Bowl. But at the same time, that is crazy money for one football game. Yes, you get the shows with it, but I think the last time I checked, if you wanted a suite, it was $1.5 million. One football game.
Players get a little bit of a discount. So our tickets wasn't, general price.
Okay.
So I mean, they're a lot more, I mean, it's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's ways to, to get that back and everything like that with that. So it's a small investment, but I mean it's worth it. But just to sit there at a game and it's too much money just to sit there and not be playing in it. Like I wouldn't go to the Super Bowl and pay for another ticket to go and just sit there and watch. Now I might get the ticket and sell it, or go to wherever the city is and just enjoy the festivities there to do and whatnot. But I mean it's kind of overhyped.
Yeah, and this year in particular, if you were in Vegas, it would have been insane. You had the NHL skills competition. You have event after event. Amon Green was down there doing big gaming stuff for esports as well. I think some people out there were even playing Madden on some of those massive screens, kind of like what they have in New York on those billboards. It is a crazy environment down in Las Vegas.
I can only imagine. I was with the team when the Raiders moved to Vegas. I can only imagine the things that they have sectioned out, for the players and former players. Like they go all out, for the Super Bowl. So it's gonna be crazy. Like I'm pissed I'm not there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's the one I thought for sure you'd want to end up in. It's in Vegas. There's not only NFL, there's a million other things going around. The ticket's there, so it's not like credentials easy. You can get in if you want to go and do any of that stuff. But nonetheless, it's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the key elements of this game. One thing that's a little interesting outside of the Chiefs getting that Raiders locker room, which I still don't understand. I thought it'd be pretty easy. You can put the 49ers in that locker room and the Chiefs get the home one. But do you think it's weird at all that the Chiefs get the indoor facility to practice in? Meanwhile, the 49ers get the outdoor facility? That one made no sense to me. Like there's
enough stuff out there to where you got Bishop Gorman stuff out there. You got other pro teams and pro events out there and whatnot. You could have put both teams indoors. You know what I mean? I don't get that. Both teams are rivals of the Raiders. So the fact that I don't know, if the Raiders receive some type of, compensation for them using their facilities or anything like that. That part I'm not too sure about, but Vegas is big enough. There's a lot, places to go to where you can put, teams in Summerlin, Lake Las Vegas, North Vegas, South Vegas. Like there's places to go. So I'm not quite sure on that one. That seems, a little favoritism.
But I don't know what it was. If it was just like we looked over it and didn't think of it, but I did thought it was bizarre. I was like you said, you could pick, count on your hands. You could fill your whole hands up on how many indoor facilities that aren't far away that you could go ahead and put them in there instead. But anyways, they're practicing outdoors, which is a little strange to me. But as we're getting closer to this game, give me 3 players for each team that you think are going to be key contributors to either helping this team if they're going to go ahead and win it. Obviously, I think Purdy and Mahomes, that's 1A, 1B. Those are two obvious.
Okay, three outside of those two.
3 outside of those two for each team, and you can go offensive side or defensive side of the ball.
Okay, for the Chiefs, I think McDuffie. Because I mean he's going to be matched up against Kittle. So I think that is a key person to watch that matchup. Offensive wise, I think the receiver core as a whole. The run game I don't think is going to get them there. They're going to have to go through the air. Mahomes is going to have to do something. So you're going to need, and I think Sky Moore comes back off of IR, which I know they like him a lot. He's he's probably the most consistent out of everybody like in that core. So I'm anxious to, to see how, he gets used and utilized. But I think, the receiver core period, I think they have to step up and have a big game.
How confident are you that they will have a big game? Okay. That's where I'm at.
Sky maybe, but then again, you haven't been playing, you've been off. It can go two ways. You can be well rested and just he could have been practicing these past couple of weeks and everything like that. Or he could just be fresh coming off and not been doing anything. So it can go either way. And then I would say the offensive line as a whole.
For both sides, or which side in particular? Because I'm looking the same way at that 49ers offensive line. And I'll quick throw, one of my defensive guys. Chris Jones scares me if I'm the 49ers. What's he going to do to your defensive line if anyone's going to throw Purdy off?
Chris Jones won't line up outside where Trent is at. So I think they'll stay away from Trent. I like, San Fran's offensive line better than the Chiefs offensive line. The Chiefs offensive line go against, one of the better defensive lines in the league, period. They rotation and everything like that. So I'm not as nervous for the 49ers offensive line. I'm nervous as ever for the Chiefs offensive line. That's a lot of first round draft picks on that in the first rotation and the second rotation. That's a lot of first round draft picks.
Yeah.
So I think that position that battle will be pivotal to the success of Mahomes.
Yeah, because I mean, you nailed it right there. Chase Young, Bosa, Greenlaw, Warner, that
Thomas.
Defense. Yeah, take your pick. It's
you got Gregory. Randy, if Randy didn't have any trouble, what he had with coming out for the combine and everything like that, Randy was a top 5 pick.
Yeah, and he's still good. There's a reason
he still went second round. Like he's a first round talent. So they got some stallions over there, and they're literally gonna pin their ears back and go. So I think the Chiefs offensive line is I think they're gonna have their hands full all day.
Yeah, and we got to go to break, but I want to keep talking about that because it's one of those things where you look on paper, and I think most people would agree that it's screaming 49ers. But then you look across the field, and it's just Patrick Mahomes. And we kind of talked about it earlier, that effect that quarterback can have, a Tom Brady-esque, even though he's nowhere near that level yet, but this could be ring 3, and it would put him on at least pace to be with Tom Brady. With him in his style, are you ever going to count him out? Kind of, you could argue the LeBron effect as well. So we'll talk about that, some more Super Bowl, some more key players as the Super Bowl is approaching the Sunday 5:30 our time. So don't go anywhere. This is the Don't Punt Hour. We got DeMornay Pierson-El streaming in. I'm Harrison Arns back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The first and only African-American male to win the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, champion tennis player Arthur Ashe was denied entry to South Africa in 1969.
The law is the law and I cannot play. So I drive away from that with my coach, knowing that the only reason I could not play was because I was black.
We salute star athlete and fighter for justice, Arthur Ashe, during Black History Month.
One in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Alexa, Play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay. Playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back into the Don't Punt Hour. I am Harrison Arns on the ones and twos back here at the 1040 Ticket Studios. We got the morning Pierson-El host as always streaming in. And if you guys ever want to join the show, and we'll have What's Brewing Chance of Brewington up next with Nick Hendrich will be joining him as a guest, 402-464-5685. But nonetheless, we're talking some Super Bowl here. Key players, we went through those. Let's go ahead and get to predictions since this is the last time we'll talk before Super Bowl Sunday is already over. So heading into this, earlier I talked about it. I said I thought I'd switch my mind about 5 times. It's actually stayed pretty consistent. I thought about the Chiefs for a little bit there, but I talked about it. On paper, I just feel like this 49ers team has, if not most of the advantages, if not all of them. Like they have on paper everything but the kind of quarterback decision. Christian McCaffrey, you got it there. Your wide receiver core, you got it there. Your defense, pick any level of that defense, you're winning in that one as well. The offensive lines, you could argue, but it's not like the Chiefs have this elite offensive line like the Eagles do. Mm-hmm. So it's all pointing to the 49ers. So I'm still leaning on the 49ers, but what are you thinking?
49ers.
Yeah, you think it's going to be a close game? Can we expect anything at all to some of the blowout Super Bowls we've had in the past? Because it's not like the Chiefs are completely avoidant of getting blown out in big games. You can remember the one Super Bowl you missed, Tampa Bay. It was blown out. That game was over quickly.
I think it'd be close.
Okay, what do you think of for a score here as we're getting our way out?
I say 27-30.
27-30 49ers. Walk-off field goal?
Or I mean, you got the field goal and you just stop, you just put it into Mahomes, you stop them, or your offense is out there and you don't give them the ball back.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit lower scoring, just something with the Super Bowl. I think the jitters and then the extra long half times. I think it is hard for players to adjust. Obviously, never played in the Super Bowl, but I can imagine it's such a different game flow that I do feel like it lends to slow starts. And whether one team starts slow and the other team doesn't, I feel like that's how you get those blowout leads. You can remember Denver and Seattle, probably one of the worst Super Bowls we've seen. But I do think this one should be a good one. And I think if they win this one, I think we can officially take the game manager off of Brock Purdy's hands because he will have his first Super Bowl ring at a young age. But nonetheless, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up.
What's your prediction? You didn't even tell me your prediction.
Oh, I did. 24-21 49ers.
Okay.
Walk-off field goal, though. I'm taking the 49ers on the walk-off field goal. I think they got it on paper. I can't count out Mahomes, but I would be astonished if they can find a way to take this team down because we talked about it. Felt like the Ravens didn't give their best shot. I will be surprised to see if Shanahan and company fails to do so. So that's going to wrap it up for the Don't Punt Hour. But What's Up with Chance of Brewington is up next, and he's got a guest, Nick Hendrich, joining him as well. So plenty left ahead. Don't go anywhere.